You're about to discover a machine that should never have existed. Imagine yourself on a small sponge diving boat back in 1901. The sea is calm, the sun is shining bright, and you're just looking for natural sponges beneath the waves. Suddenly, one of the divers surfaces in a complete frenzy. He insists that the seafloor is littered with dead bodies, horses, and treasures scattered all around. At first, everyone thinks he's just hallucinating from being underwater too long. But when another diver goes down, he brings back an astonishing revelation. They hadn't stumbled upon a graveyard. They had uncovered an ancient Roman shipwreck that had lain undisturbed beneath the Mediterranean for nearly 2,000 years. Among the cargo was a corroded lump of bronze so ordinary that no one paid it any mind. Months later, something incredible emerged from that lump. Tiny, precision-cut gears. Not just one or two, but dozens of them. A machine so advanced that historians would later liken it to a mechanical computer, crafted over 2,100 years ago. So here's a thought that might change your perspective on ancient history. What if the past wasn't as primitive as we've always believed? I'm Scout, and welcome to Forgotten Engineering. Today, we're diving into one of history's greatest engineering mysteries, the Antikythera Mechanism. To grasp why this mysterious device astonished the scientific community, let's rewind to where it all began. It was the year 1900. A group of Greek sponge divers was navigating the Aegean Sea when a fierce storm forced them to seek refuge near the small island of Antikythera, nestled between Crete and the Greek mainland. While waiting for the weather to clear, the captain suggested they continue their search for sponges. One diver, Elias Stadiadis, plunged nearly 50 meters down using one of those heavy diving suits from that era. Like every other dive, he expected nothing more than rocks, marine life, and natural sponges. Instead, he discovered bronze statues, marble sculptures, amphorae, and remnants of a massive wooden ship scattered across the seabed. It quickly became clear that this was no ordinary wreck. It was one of the richest archaeological finds ever made underwater. Over the following months, divers carefully retrieved hundreds of priceless artifacts from the site. While magnificent statues captured the world's attention, hidden among those masterpieces was a small, heavily corroded lump of bronze. It seemed insignificant at first, and nobody could have imagined that this broken object would eventually rewrite the history of engineering. For decades, those mysterious bronze fragments sat in museum storage. Archaeologists recognized they were unusual, but no one could quite figure out what they were looking at. Everything changed in the 1950s when a British science historian named Derek de Solla Price became intrigued by the fragments. Unlike many others, he believed they weren't just decorative pieces or broken bits of a statue. He thought they were parts of a machine. At the time, that idea seemed almost absurd. Ancient Greece was renowned for its philosophy, mathematics, and architecture, but a machine filled with precision gears, that sounded impossible. Price dedicated years to studying each fragment in incredible detail. As imaging technology advanced, researchers began using X-rays and later, high-resolution 3D X-ray tomography to peer inside the corroded bronze without causing any damage. What they discovered left the scientific community in awe. Hidden beneath centuries of corrosion were over 30 finely crafted bronze gears, each cut with remarkable precision. Some were interconnected in complex gear trains, transferring motion from one wheel to another with astonishing accuracy. Even more astonishing were the tiny Greek inscriptions engraved on the surviving plates. These weren't just decorations, they were operating instructions and labels, indicating that this machine had been meticulously designed to calculate astronomical events. The Antikythera Mechanism wasn't just a collection of gears. It was an instrument built to predict the movements of the heavens. Now, picture yourself turning a small bronze handle on the side of this device. As you turn the handle, dozens of gears begin to move in perfect harmony. Slowly, the pointers on the front dials start to shift across carefully engraved scales. But this wasn't just telling time. It was predicting the future. By simply cranking that handle, The Antikythera mechanism could calculate the positions of the sun and the moon for any date you chose. It could even predict lunar and solar eclipses years before they occurred. Years in advance without electronics, without computers, and without modern engineering. Researchers also discovered that it tracked the moon's phases with remarkable accuracy. One ingenious gear system even adjusted for the moon's changing speed as it orbited the Earth, a level of mechanical sophistication that surprised even modern engineers. The back of the mechanism featured spiral dials for tracking long astronomical cycles. One dial monitored the metonic cycle, a 19-year pattern used to synchronize the lunar calendar with the solar year, while another followed the Saros cycle, helping users predict when eclipses would occur. In other words, this wasn't merely a calculator. It was a portable astronomical computer. Every gear had a purpose, and every rotation represented mathematics transformed into machinery. Over 2,100 years ago, someone designed a machine capable of modeling the motion of the heavens using nothing but bronze gears and human ingenuity. And perhaps the most astounding part, it actually worked. If the Antikythera mechanism was indeed this advanced, one question becomes impossible to overlook, and maybe you're already pondering it. Why didn't the world continue to develop machines like it? Historians believe the mechanism was likely constructed between 150 and 100 BC, during the peak of Hellenistic science, a remarkable period when mathematics, astronomy, engineering, and philosophy flourished together. Scholars like Archimedes, Hipparchus, and later Posidonius pushed the boundaries of scientific understanding. While we can't say for certain who designed the Antikythera mechanism, many researchers believe it emerged from this extraordinary tradition of Greek engineering. Then, history changed everything. Wars reshaped kingdoms, great libraries were destroyed, and scientific schools vanished. Skilled craftsmen passed away without sharing their knowledge. The expertise that had taken generations to build slowly faded away. The Antikythera mechanism may not have been the only one ever created. In fact, many historians suspect it wasn't. But bronze was valuable. Broken machines were often melted down and repurposed into weapons, tools, coins, or entirely new objects. Wood decayed, metal was reused, and time erased almost everything. By the Middle Ages, nothing with comparable mechanical complexity would emerge again for over 1,000 years. It wasn't because humanity became less intelligent. Sometimes knowledge doesn't progress. Sometimes it simply disappears. Today, more than a century after its discovery, the Antikythera mechanism continues to challenge everything we thought we knew about ancient technology. Even today, researchers continue scanning and studying the surviving fragments, hoping each new discovery will reveal another piece of the puzzle. Each new scan reveals another detail, and every study answers one question, while raising several more. Modern researchers have successfully reconstructed much of the mechanism, but not all of it. Some gears remain missing, and several inscriptions are still incomplete. Because the original device survived only in fragments, certain aspects of its operation may never be fully understood. But perhaps that's what makes the Antikythera mechanism so extraordinary. It serves as a reminder that history isn't just a tale of constant progress. Sometimes, civilizations achieve remarkable breakthroughs, only for that knowledge to vanish for centuries. We often picture our ancestors as less advanced than we are. Yet the engineers who created this machine operated under the same laws of physics that govern our world today. They had no computers, no electricity, no modern machinery. And still, they crafted one of the most sophisticated mechanical devices of the ancient world. The Antikythera mechanism isn't just a marvel of engineering, it's a reminder to stay humble. Because every time we think we've uncovered all the secrets of history, the past quietly proves us wrong. So let me leave you with one final question. If a machine built more than 2,000 years ago can still surprise modern scientists, how many other forgotten inventions are still waiting to be rediscovered? I'm Scout, and this is Forgotten Engineering. Every forgotten invention tells us one thing: history still has secrets left to reveal. If you enjoyed this journey, subscribe and join us for the next mystery. Because the greatest engineering stories are often the ones history almost erased. I'll see you in the next discovery.